The pasta was getting cold, but no one at the Whitaker family dinner seemed to notice. They were too busy dissecting my latest mistake. A library assistant? Ava? Seriously? My father scoffed, slicing into his chicken. 4 years at Wharton, and this is where you land? I swirled my wine, another bottle I'd brought that no one commented on, and took a slow sip. At 30, I'd mastered the art of letting their words roll off my back. Your brother just launched his own tech startup, Mom added brightly. And Emma just got featured in Forbes. Of course. Nathan the tech genius, Emma the real estate mogul. The shining stars. It's actually collections curator, I said, voice low. It wouldn't change anything. Dad slammed his glass onto the table. Curator, assistant, whatever, you're a letdown, Ava. An embarrassment. I knew exactly what people said behind closed doors, especially the board members of Pacific Horizon Trust, the institution where I worked, supposedly shelving books. What they didn't know? I owned 68% of the trust through a carefully layered series of firms and offshore accounts. Richard, maybe we should, Mom began, but Dad plowed ahead. We sacrificed for your education, and you're wasting it. I thought about the papers sitting on my desk, their emergency loan application to keep their luxury furniture business afloat. They had no idea I'd be reviewing it personally tomorrow. I'm doing just fine, Dad, I said evenly. Fine, he laughed bitterly. Tiny house, old car, dead-end job. The tiny house was a beachfront villa, the old car, a cover, and my job, just the front of an empire they'd soon have to answer to. At least Nathan and Emma had ambition, Mom said, shaking her head. They wanted success. I just smiled, thinking back to last Thursday's meeting with the partners at Sterling & Moore, the firm where Nathan was supposedly about to make partner. Funny enough, 6 months ago I'd quietly acquired the firm under one of my holding companies. The partners had been very clear. Nathan wasn't even under consideration. You know what your problem is? Dad charged ahead, clearly energized by the sound of his own voice. You never dream big enough, always playing it safe with your little library job. If he only knew. That library job was just the public mask. Over the past decade, I'd built a private financial empire worth over $2.4 billion, 0 cents. Pacific Horizon Trust was just one piece. I also controlled multiple banks, private equity groups, real estate trusts, and yes, a prestigious law firm. Maybe you're right, I said lightly, pushing back my chair. The weight of everything I wasn't saying made my hands itch with adrenaline. Where do you think you're going? Mom asked sharply. We're not finished. I think we are, I said, grabbing my coat. Thanks for dinner. Running away again? Dad sneered. Pathetic. I paused at the doorway, turning back. You might want to check your phones tomorrow. Lending rules can be strict nowadays. The confusion on their faces almost made me laugh. Almost. That night, back at my real office, on the 42nd floor of the Whitmore Tower downtown, I skimmed their loan application one last time. Their luxury furniture business was hemorrhaging money far faster than they'd admitted. No loan, no lifeline. My phone buzzed. Nathan, right on cue. You took off so fast, he said, trying for a casual tone. Missed Mom's peach cobbler. Tragic, I replied, signing the $300 0 cents M acquisition papers on my desk. Seriously though, Dad's just worried about you. I smiled to myself, glancing at the file showing Nathan's secret gambling debts he'd been covering by embezzling from the firm I now owned. Touching, I said dryly. By the way, how's that partnership coming? Silence. It's progressing. These things take time, Nathan said, voice tight. They do, I agreed, smiling at the irony. Hey, didn't you handle some work for Pacific Horizon Trust a while back? Pause. Longer this time. Yeah? Why? Just curious. Say hi to Mom and Dad for me, I said lightly, and ended the call before he could fish for more. Turning back to my screen, I stared at the loan file. One signature could save their company, or seal its downfall. After years of being their scapegoat, did I even want to save them? The sunset painted the city gold as I made my decision. Tomorrow, everything would change. The walls I'd built to hide behind would finally come down. I picked up my phone and texted Janet, my real executive assistant. Execute Protocol Omega. It's time. Her reply came seconds later. All set for tomorrow, ma'am. Documents prepared. I stood by the window, watching the city lights flicker to life. In 12 hours, the Whitaker family would meet the true disappointment they had mocked for years. And they would find out she owned their future. Monday morning arrived crisp and clear. I slipped into Pacific Horizon Trust's headquarters through my private entrance. Employees bustled around me, none realizing the lowly collections curator quietly running the place. At 9 a.m. sharp, Janet triggered Protocol Omega. Every senior executive received an urgent board meeting summons. Simultaneously, my family's loan was flagged priority 1. Right on cue, my phone rang. Dad. Ava? His voice was tight. The bank called. They want us there immediately. Something about special owner instructions. Strange, I said, voice mild. I'm just a curator, remember? See you soon. An hour later, I watched them arrive through my office's one-way glass. Mom wringing her hands, Dad's bravado cracked around the edges. Nathan and Emma trailed behind, summoned for reinforcement. They're here, Janet confirmed. Good. Let them wait in Conference A, make sure the board's already seated. I let them stew for 20 minutes, observing through the security feed as Dad tried to bluff, Nathan tried to network, and Emma barely hid her unease. At 10:30 sharp, I pressed the button. The massive conference screens blinked to life, displaying a labyrinthine network of holdings and trusts, every thread leading to one name, Ava Whitaker. I stepped into the room wearing a tailored navy suit that cost more than Dad's beloved SUV. The board rose instantly. Good morning, Ms. Whitaker, they chorused. The shock on my family's faces was delicious. Hello, Dad, I said smoothly. Sleep well after dinner last night? He opened his mouth, then closed it again, stunned into silence. Ava, Mom breathed. What is this? I gestured around. This is my bank, one of 17 actually, but who's counting? Emma's mouth dropped open. Nathan looked ready to faint. Your library worker? She stammered. Lekala's curator, I corrected with a smile. It's a convenient cover when you're quietly building an empire. I slid into the head chair, savoring the stunned silence. Now, I said, flipping open the loan file, about your request for $2,500,000, 0 cents. Dad's face turned crimson. You set us up. No, I said gently. You dismissed me. You underestimated me. I just finally stopped correcting you. Janet handed out folders to everyone. Inside were audit reports, legal findings, including Nathan's embezzlement, and Emma's fraudulent real estate practices. Their legacy was crumbling, and I was the one holding the pen. I looked over at Nathan, who had gone sheet white. Including certain financial irregularities, the partners were kind enough to flag, I said lightly. Nathan slumped into his chair. Mom gasped. You'll also find details on the collapse of that flashy Miami deal Emma's been bragging about, I added, turning to her. It fell through because the financing was mysteriously withdrawn by one of my banks. Emma's manicured hands shook as she thumbed through the folder. And finally, I faced my parents. A full audit of Whitaker Fine Furnishings, the missed payments, the concealed debts, the deferred maintenance, everything you forgot to mention on the loan application. Dad opened his mouth, but I lifted a hand. No need. We've had teams analyzing the company for months. We know exactly how bad it is. The silence stretched thick across the conference room. The board members awkwardly avoided making eye contact. Why hide all this? Why hide all this? I leaned forward, resting my palms lightly on the table. Remember when I started at Wharton, when I told you about my ideas for algorithmic finance and digital banking? Dad shifted uncomfortably. He remembered. You told me to be practical, to play it safe, to follow Nathan and Emma's realistic paths. I gave a humorless smile. So I stopped trying to prove anything. I built it without you. And the library job? Emma asked faintly. I smiled. Brown-level insights. Every executive at my company starts at the bottom without knowing the owner did too. I pulled a single document from my folder and slid it across the table. Now, about your loan. Dad straightened, trying to reassert himself. Given our relationship, I assume? That's not how run by banks. I cut him off smoothly. Every application stands on merit. They scanned the document in disbelief. It was a full rescue plan. Emergency financing. Total company restructuring. Mandatory oversight by a corporate recovery team, my team. You have two options, I said. Accept the terms and save the company, or decline and find funding elsewhere. I paused. Though you should know, my holding groups now control nearly all your alternative lenders. The room froze. The daughter they once dismissed as small-minded now controlled their entire financial future. I rose from my chair. Take some time. Janet will escort you to a private room. I stopped at the doorway. Oh, and Dad? About that Wharton education you paid for? I gave him a brief nod. Consider this its return on investment. The next few weeks were a lesson in shifting tides. Dad signed the restructuring package without protest. Pride wouldn't save his company, and he knew it. Watching him hand over control didn't spark triumph in me. Only a hollow, aching silence. You could have told us, Dad said quietly after the final signature. Would it have changed anything? I asked, voice even. Or would you have just found a new way to be disappointed? He had no answer. My restructuring team swept through Whitaker Fine Furnishings with surgical precision. Redundancies cut, wasteful spending slashed, nepotism ended. Nathan was the first to crack. He showed up at my true office, a gleaming top-floor suite in the Whitmore Tower, 1 week later. About everything I said before, he mumbled, adjusting his silk tie. The wasted potential, the librarian thing, I was wrong. He tried a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Who would have thought my little sister would own my law firm? I pulled out a file. Speaking of which, I said casually, let's talk about your gambling debts. He froze. Ava, I can explain. No need, I said coolly. Our forensic team already did. $300,000, siphoned from client funds. A major ethical violation. You'd face disbarment, possibly charges, I said, letting him squirm. But, I continued after a beat, the firm has been reimbursed anonymously, on one condition. You accept a transfer to our Singapore office. Singapore? He gasped. A fresh start, I said. And the only reason you're still practicing law. Away from the casinos, I said calmly. Take the deal, or take your chances with the ethics board. Nathan took it, of course. Sometimes, real help comes disguised as a forced choice. Emma was next. She stormed into my office in a cloud of designer perfume and wounded pride. You sabotaged my deal, she snapped, pacing furiously. No, I corrected, sitting back. I protected my bank. The Miami market's dangerously inflated and your numbers didn't add up. Any competent lender would have made the same decision. But I'm your sister, she shot back. Exactly why I had to be twice as careful, I replied, locking eyes with her. If you want to be taken seriously in real estate, Emma, build something real, not a house of cards stacked on family favors. She stormed out, furious. But a week later, she returned, this time with a solid, meticulously researched proposal for a mixed-use development. I had my team review it thoroughly. No favors, no shortcuts. When it passed the scrutiny, I approved the funding. Sometimes, tough love yields the best returns. Mom was the hardest. She showed up at my penthouse one evening, gazing at the city skyline through misty eyes. All those nights I stayed up worrying, she said softly. Wondering if you'd ever live up to your potential. And all along, I said gently, I was exceeding it, just not the way you expected. Why the deception? She whispered. Why let us think you were struggling? I poured 2 glasses of Bordeaux, the same wine they'd once ignored at dinner. Remember when I was 10 and won the state math championship? I asked. She nodded, tearful. Instead of celebrating, you and Dad immediately started strategizing what contests I should enter next, which colleges would care. I took a sip. Every win became another expectation, another burden. We wanted you to excel, she said faintly. No, I corrected. You wanted me to excel your way. I needed space to find my own. We sat in silence, the city glowing around us. And now? She asked. Now, I said, we learn how to be a family without scorecards. Without expectations, just connection. The changes didn't happen overnight, but they happened. Dad's company, under professional management, thrived. He slowly learned to be proud without needing to control everything. Nathan, thousands of miles away in Singapore, found his footing. Therapy helped. So did meeting a corporate attorney who helped him face his gambling addiction honestly. Emma's development succeeded not because of our name, but because of her own hard work. She even began mentoring young women in real estate, teaching them the lessons she learned the hard way. Mom struggled the longest, but little by little she learned to show pride without pressure, love without conditions. As for me, I stepped out of the shadows. The story of the secret banking empire hit the news cycle for a while. For a few months, I was the billionaire nobody saw coming. Then the media moved on. 6 months after that fateful meeting, we had Sunday dinner again, this time at my penthouse. The conversation was different now. Less comparison. I'm always sleepy. As dessert ended, Dad leaned back, studying me carefully. Do you ever regret it? He asked. Hiding your success? I thought for a moment, looking around at my family. Nathan, relaxed and healthy. Emma, passionate and real. Mom, quieter but prouder. No, I said finally. We all needed to learn some hard lessons about success, about family, about what really matters. And what does matter? Mom asked softly. Not your title, I said. Not your bank balance, not your trophies. I smiled. It's the integrity of your work and the authenticity of your relationships. Later that night, after everyone had left, I stood at my window watching the city pulse with life. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Dad. Thank you for saving the company and for teaching me what success really means. I smiled, thinking about the long, painful road that led here. Sometimes, the greatest victory isn't proving others wrong. It's helping them grow with you. My phone buzzed again. Janet, updating me on a new acquisition opportunity. Tomorrow, I would go back to building my empire. But tonight I stood still, savoring something rarer than any billion-dollar deal. A family that finally knew how to love without conditions. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's knowing when to stop keeping score and start building bridges. Even if those bridges are paved with billion-dollar banks. If you've stayed with me through this journey, thank you. This story isn't just about me. It's about every person who was ever doubted, dismissed, or pressured to live by someone else's standards. If my story resonated with you, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Share your experiences, your victories, your struggles, your moments of quiet strength. Let's lift each other up. And if I could leave you with one piece of advice, it's this. Never let others define your potential. Not your family, not your critics, not even your past. True success isn't just about money or status. It's about building something you believe in, on your terms with integrity. Sometimes that means walking a lonelier path for a while. Sometimes it means staying silent until the right moment to speak. But always, it means trusting that your vision matters, even when no one else sees it yet. I'm proof that the world doesn't get to decide who you are. Do it. If my story inspired you, leave a comment, send a message, or simply take one small step today toward the life you deserve. I'm cheering for you, loudly, even if you can't hear it yet.